wasn't enabled on there. And I don't know. I mean, because I know some of the people that are my moderators, I wanted to make sure that there's no funky business or nothing on there. I hope you tuned in here again. Please try to catch us on here. I truly apologize for the mishap. I mean, I don't know if I should just go back out and start all over again, but again, I'm right here in front of the door that leads out to the main entrance. And this is where the receptionist, like I said, she would check the monitors. If they were bringing prisoners in, they went up to the the black gate. She opened up the gate. And they would come over here to this door where that slot is there. She would open up that slot in the door, and she would pull out the paperwork. Then she would then let them in here, and then they would go through where this black gate is here that goes into the warden's quarters, and they would be taken into the office there, and they would be processed, and then they would be taken over here into this is the area where all the cells are at. To the right of me, if we pan around, as I was saying, I call this our Green Mile, even though it's not long like the Green Mile was. I still call it because it was their last walk to the gallows. If you follow me up here, if you see this square there on the floor, that was the trap door to the dungeon. Now, when the building was first erected, that was the only way in and out of the dungeon. As course of time went by, they built steps over where I showed you where the dungeon door was. And again, I'm sorry for the mishap. You're going to have to watch that little video as a prelude to this, but I do apologize. If you look to this room right here was used as where if they needed any supplies or the wardens did any goods, whatever, and that, this is where they would have got their supplies. So we'll pan around this. As you can see from the very first walkthrough video or any videos you see, there's been a whole lot of cleaning done here. If you go to this little room over here, there was a bathroom to the right. And over here, this was another room. The secretaries, the female administrative, they used this as their office. And they also did, a lot of times they took their breaks in this room. And there's little storage right over here, some shelves, and that where they would have kept their records. If you look at the amazing windows that are on the top, and little bathroom area, which is not great shape, but that's the bathroom area. Now we're going to walk forward. I'm going to take you to the gallows. Now there was 11 hangings done on Fellows. On John Fellows. On Lurking Spirits and on the other side with Diane. We pay the price to see like a movie or a sporting event or a concert. In that time, they paid, you went to the sheriff's office or to the commissioners and you bought a ticket to see the event, which was a public hanging. So let's open up this gate here, if I can. And this is where the gallows is. So this is where the hangings were done. You saw a pigeon going up here. This is where they did the hangings. Now they would put scaffolds up here, and like I said, they paid the price. People paid the price of a ticket, and they would come in here and they would watch a public hanging. It's a good old-fashioned, hey, you want to do something today? Let's go catch a hanging. So we're going to go back in. It is quite chilly out today yet here in good old PA. So we're going to go now. We're going to be entering here the heart of the jail. I just broke my fingernail. Now, keep in mind, when the prisoners was brought in, make sure that the wardens are safe. There was a black gate that they had to get through the front. There's this big stone gate here. There's this door right beside me, which this is, look how thick this is. And this is heavy. This is real heavy. And then there is another door right here, which is just as heavy. These would all be closed, secured, and locked. So there was no way that any of the prisoners would have been able to get through this jail part to get to the wardens. Now, if you look up straight above, there's a window there, and even above that, there's another, like, opening. That's where some guards would watch over to make sure the prisoners all kept in line. If anything like a riot or anything came about, they would be able to see it before it actually happened. Now, if you look at this part here, now this is the original stone jail part. This part here, there's 2 floors to the original part. When you get up to that top floor right up there, that part was built on in 1910 when the annex was built on. And if you look closely, you'll see that the gate on the top is different than the gate here on the first and second levels. If you also look at the architecture on the railing here and the steps, if you go to James Thorpe, the jail in James Thorpe, or if you go to Eastern State Penitentiary, you're going to see the same type of architecture, and that's because it was the same architect that designed those also. They built those 2 buildings, they designed this building. Now, in this stone jail part, there's 14 cells. On the bottom floor, 14 cells on the second floor. All the cells are all similar. They are all 15 by 9 by 8. And if I look, we'll go over here. This is where the flashlight's going to come in handy. If you look here, you can see they're rounded top. They're all the same. Now, this one here was eventually used as storage, but this was a cell. And this was the commons, the infirmary for a while. That's where, so they brought them in, the nurses, to get their medications and things like that. And if you go to the one over here, if you look up, it is the fingerprinting room. And they use this, as you can see, same shape, same size. They used it as the fingerprinting. So you can see cabinets and that in here. All of these cells are the exact same size and shape. These 2 here, you will notice a little difference here. This one is the SHU, and this one is the RHU. Now, the difference between the RHU and SHU is the one solitary confinement, so it's the solitary housing unit, and the RHU is the restricted housing unit. These 2 cells were used when they brought in criminals. The most famous modern-day criminals that was brought in here was John Gaddis and Rex Edmondson. Those criminals were nasty. They did stuff which will be brought up in one of my documentaries. They actually had to sneak them in because if the inmates would have got a hold of them, they would have bumped them off, which they probably should have let them do that, because if you know what they do, you'll know and understand why. I don't think you can actually see in there. I don't think so. But the restricted, normally the restricted was for longer period of time. They housed them in there. Solitary usually was like a 24-hour stay. Restricted was days, weeks, months, years. Like Ricky Gaddis and Rex Edmondson, they were actually in there for years. Now, this petition here, that was actually built on later too. That was to separate when the visitors came to see their families. They had a door on there and they opened up the windows and they let the families talk to their relatives who were inmates through that area. Now, we're just going to take a walk. Now, over the course of years, you're going to see this one has an iron gate on it, and we're going to go next to it. This one was changed into storage. Now, over the course of the years, Ebensburg, when the county took over, they were using this building for a short period of time. Now, this building closed in 1997. They were using it for record storage. From that time then till the new owner bought over, all that was removed. There are a lot of artifacts I wish that we had, that we're trying to get a hold of, that wasn't here when the record facility was here. So, but again, if you look at the shape of the cell, it's 15 by 9 by 8. And we're going to go over to this one. I'm not going to go in all of the cells, so you'll get the gist. Some of them are a little bit different, but they're basically all, that there was a slab. Sometimes they had like a little mattress to sleep on. Sometimes they actually slept on that slab like that. That one's a wooden slab. They did have bunks in that in, depending on, there was points of this jail here where sometimes it got so overcrowded that 16 men would be in one of these cells at one time. That's how overcrowded it got. So you can imagine the hygiene conditions in these cells. So as we walk down here now, again, all the cells, there's 7 on each side. So there's 14 on this level, 14 on the level above. Now, as we get to these last 2 cells right here, you're going to see a big difference in these cells. And the big difference is, as you can see, they are not only the 15 by 9 by 8, but they're encased in iron. Well, actually, it would have been iron and steel from the local steel mills. So the reason why these are different is because these were the death row cells. So these would have been the last cells that the inmates would have seen before they got hanged. Now, if you come to the one next to it, you're going to see something amazing. And you're going to see that this is the cell of Old Smitty, which is legendary for this prison / jail. And this was his cell. There's a picture of him back. Old Smitty was the man that they could not hang before his execution. It was the night before he disappeared, and they don't know if he escaped or if something happened. I am probably going to be doing a whole documentary on Smitty tonight. So if you want to know the whole story behind the man they could not hang, tune in tonight on The Other Side with Diane, and I will be having that. I'll probably do a rebroadcast of it also on the Lurking Spirits channel. But this is probably the biggest, most talked about unsolved mystery in Pennsylvania and involving this jail. Now, I'm saying jail, I also say prison. Both are appropriate, and I'll explain why. When this jail / prison was built, they did harbor not only low caliber criminals, but they did harbor high caliber, I don't know what the appropriate word is, prisoners that committed murder and did serious crimes like that, and they were also executed here in this prison. Since they harbored those hardened criminals and they did executions in this building, they did consider this a prison. Now, once 1909, and they did the last 2 hangings in this prison, and the county turned it over to state, when it became state mandated, all the executions took place in Rockview State Prison, and then this was no longer considered as much a prison as it was a jail, but they did still harbor the hardened criminals here. Now, there was no diversity at that time, so you might go on the street and rob a grocery store, and you may be put in a cell with a cold-blooded murder. So that's like the whole story on that. Now, this cell here was made into a little guard's room here at one time. Like I said, a lot of them was converted over. They did, when we first started cleaning out the building to get it ready for tours and everything, they had a little coffee pot over there. They have a filing cabinet there. They kind of made it into like a little break area, and the guards watched over the prisoners in here. Now, when we go through this door here, we're going to be going into the annex. As you see right here on this wall, this building was erected in 1870. It actually opened in 1872 to take inmates, but the annex, which is next to us, was built in 1910. So we're going to go in, walk through here, and this is the annex. This was the newer part. This was we call this the bullpen. Now, the bullpen consists of 4 tiers. Each tier has 10 cells on each side. So each tier has 20 cells all total, and that goes up to the top, so that would be like 80 cells. Now, when we go in through this door here, there's catwalks, which I don't know if you can see real well. There's catwalks that go through each section of cells. Now, that made it easier for their guards and that to take their supplies through. And also, if they did that, they didn't have to worry about if the prisoners reached out and tried to grab them or anything when they were passing by the cells. Now, we're going to do that after, and we're going to go down to the basement. But I'm going to open up this side door here. This leads to the courtyard, one of the courtyards. So this was a recreation area out here in the courtyard. I believe they called this one the South Courtyard. As you can see the basketball net over there, the prisoners would come out. I see a lot of people had tennis balls and that they weren't there last time. So the prisoners would come out. That's a 22-foot wall too. Now that 22-foot wall does come and play when I tell you the story of old Smitty, when I do a documentary on him, which you kind of have like a big question mark regarding that. But they did do the recreation here. Close this back. And we're going to go over here. This little room right here that I'm going up toward was a guard's room. Another guard's room. What they would do is they would lock themselves in there and keep watch. And there's a little window there. And that door out there leads to another courtyard. It's just junky net out there. There's really nothing to see. But from here, we're going to go down. These steps here is going to take us down to the basement. And let's do a walk through there. I want to make sure we have plenty of light for going down here. Just pray that I don't fall and break my neck. Okay, we're going down. Okay, this is the basement, which you can see that over here. Let me check. I don't know where it's at. But this is the basement. Now, there's a story. There was a really gruesome attack that happened down in the basement, and it was between a inmate that was a murderer. He was a troublemaker. His name was Devlin Brown, and a young kid. Nobody knows the whole story of why he killed this kid, but it was pretty gruesome, to the point that if you come right over here, on this wall, some of those dark spots there and on this post here, some of those spots are still the blood that was splattered, which I know I'm getting gruesome, and I hope YouTube doesn't flag me for it, from that event that happened. As we walk up this way, yes, I'm down here by myself too, so pray for me that nothing reaches out and grabs me. This was the galley. So this here, it's pretty messy again because we have had bad weather. This was where they would line up and get their food. So here was where the little window was, where they would get their trays and whatnot and gather their food. As you walk down this way here, and I did just hear something down here. I don't know what it was, but we could have animals. That looks like a football. This was a dry storage room right here for their dry foods. Walk over to this store. This would have been their cold food. The fan in the back, they would have had their refrigerators and stuff and that in here for their cold food. Over here was their shower area. So they have a lot of people, you can see it's a pretty big shower. So they would have had several people at one time. Now, a little bit of the story involving the kid and Devlin Brown. Apparently, they just got done playing, doing their recreation. They had their food at the cafeteria. He was coming and they were going to take a shower. And as he was standing in line to take a shower, that's when the incident happened. And as I said before, I will be doing a documentary on that whole thing. Look, people have been here, because this here, behind this door, was where they had laundry area. So there was a story of one of the inmates doing laundry. Little storage area here. And it continues over to there. As you can see, that's still kind of messed up. But we're going to know. Abby, when she comes down here and she tries to film, her film always, her camera and that always acts up. So we think whatever may be in here likes her. If you believe in that stuff, which we do because we've experienced it. This was just another part, which you can see it needs cleaned up. Nobody got to it yet, but between the owner and us, we've been trying to do as much as we can. But nobody should be going in that area anyhow. Behind the doors over here are electrical. This door here is an exit to go outside, and there's electrical in that room. I know video quality is kind of dark. Since I'm doing it on my phone, I do apologize, guys. So we're going to go back upstairs from the basement. I can take my flashlight back off. Now we're going to go in. This is the first layer. As you can see, there's more things that have fallen on the floor from when we cleaned. The weather was not kind to us this year. But 10 cells on this side, 10 cells on that side. Now this first cell right here on this side was converted over to a shower. The second cell, which was a cell, was converted over to a restroom. And then as we do a slow walk down, you're going to see another cell, another cell. They're all pretty similar in size. Now, unlike in the stone jail part, these cells are not the same size and shape. They are the same height, but they're not the same width. As you can see, that one was small. This one's wider. And we're going down here. Yeah, this got bad since we were here last. The winter definitely was not kind. And this was actually 2 cells at one time, but they took out the divider in the middle and they made it one big cell. So we believe that this would have been a big holding cell for several inmates until they were put in their own private cells or with a cellmate. So we're going to go up. Now there is a story that involves this restroom right here. And again, I hate being redundant and saying the same thing over and over, but I'm going to be doing documentaries on a lot of old Smitty, a lot of the history of the building, different things like that. So we are going to go up to the second floor. And again, if you look down, 10 cells here, pan around, 10 cells over there, and they are variant sizes, which I'm not going to go down there because it's not going to be really worth you seeing all the cells are all the same. Excuse me, the same. Here is another catwalk. That's a better picture for you. So if you're trying to go through there at night, if you misstep, you're going to fall right down. Not good. But it goes straight through. And again, it made it easier for the guards to carry product or to avoid prisoners trying to reach out, grabbing them or anybody or anything like that. And this side, yeah, wow. I just heard something move on the floor above me. Dylan's down there saying hi. But it was something, I heard something moving. It didn't sound like a bird or anything. It sounded pretty heavy, almost like a door, like a gate. Like, I don't know. It was weird. But there's no doors on any of them up there, is there? No, there's no doors up there. So that was weird. So we're going to go up now to the third level. Again, the steps. I so apologize yet for that beginning. That really, it still bothers me. As you can see, as the higher up we get between the temperature differences throughout the winter, we have some cleaning to do again. But to get everybody back in here to see this incredibly magnificent building, it's definitely well worth it. And it's the same thing here. Another catwalk. And then on the other side, now, these wooden doors, they were added on later on. Of course, they didn't have wooden doors when the annex was first built. They had everything was all iron or steel. But that's when they would turn in these, each one of these cells was turned into records, where they put records for the Cambria County. But that's the other side. And again, I'm not walking down each because it defeats the purpose, because they're pretty much all the same. Some house 2 prisoners, some might have had 3, some might have had 1, some might have had 4. Depending where you were at, how big the cell was. If you look, okay, I don't want to go down too far here because it did get messed up. I think some of these, yeah, right here, name. Okay, I thought I heard something down there. Some of the walls, see, we had these all scraped off, and they kind of got bad again. Some of the walls, there's some writing and stuff in that on some of the walls. Okay, this was the top layer right here. And as you walk through, this is the catwalk. So this catwalk here is all caged in. And this is the catwalk that connected the annex, the newer part, with the old stone jail part. So we're going to walk across the catwalk. It is a pretty big drop. So if this gate wasn't here, and it is probably about a foot higher than me, so it's probably, I'm going to say, about 6 foot tall. If somebody tried to climb over it, they went down, they ain't getting back up, that's for sure. And we're going to go down here. Now again, this part of the building here, a lot of people thought it was part of the old stone. It's not. This part was actually built on when the annex was built. So this whole top layer here is as new as what the annex is. So contrary to what some may say, this is as new as what the annex is. Now, if you go to this room to the right, there was some confusion for a long part on this area. For a while, we thought this was the woman's ward, and to the left was the work release. Since then, we were told that this area here was the work release room. So they would put like 20 cots in here, and there'd be about 20 people at one time, and they would do their work release and try to condition them so they could go back out to the public again. So that was this room here. And if we go down this side here, these walkways, when you walk on them, they creak, they're wooden, but they are all cement and iron or steel underneath, so they are very safe. See, a lot of these have doors on them yet. If you go and look across, again, those are cells. Those were cells up here, but they converted them into work release and women's ward. This area right over here is the women's ward. So they kind of had like a little, like, I guess this would have been like a little office area. And if you go around, they had little shower. That's a toilet, a sink, toilet. We're gonna go here, little shower area. We're gonna walk around here. And we call this the pink room, for obvious reasons. But the women, which you can see, this one has not been even touched at all. We have broken windows there a couple places, so it is cold in this building. We do have heat in the reception area and in the office, but not in here, not until all these holes and everything like that get all cleared up. So this was the woman's area. So I want to try to cover as much as I can. I would have loved to take you up to the warden's quarters, but the warden's quarters is really bad, and you can't get up there. But they had like living room, dining room, kitchen, bedrooms. They had the whole, and they even had an attic, I guess, up there. So we're going to go down now, back down the steps to the second level again. We were on the top level. Now on the second level, you're going to notice, since this is the Old Stone Jail, these cells, if you notice right here, we're going to the door. Now again, when they turn this over to a record facility, if you walk in a cell, you're going to see this one had ceiling tile put up, which is coming down. The cells are the same size and shape, 15 by 9 by 8. And if I can walk in up under the ceiling tile, you can see the curvature. So you can see where it did have the same shape as the other cells. But this one, of course, they started putting paneling in there. I guess they were going to do a lot of things with it. We're going to go on the other side. Some of these rooms you can't go in. We have them sealed up. But if you look here, you can see, same as the floor right below, all the same size and shape. And we're just going to do a walk around, and I'll just, that one, as you can see, there's shelves and that in there. They were putting storage in there. And right there. Don't you love our ceiling fans there? It got so hot in the summer that it melted those ceiling fans. I call them the new Gucci ceiling fans specialty. And there you go. I'm not going to go into all the cells, but you're basically getting the gist. Now here's another catwalk on the second floor. If you look down there, quite a good drop down to the first floor. Now, if you look here, in that area down there, but I don't think it was this angle, is where that apparition was caught from Ashley and Michael Stilson. Well, Ashley actually caught it on her phone. She didn't realize she got it until that night when she was reviewing her videos, and she caught that apparition. But again, that's a whole other story. You'll see doors here, cells, and walk down so you'll see what it looks like. Now again, this is the original part of the jail. So this was all built in 1870 and housed prisoners on here in 1872. So we're just going to do a little walkthrough. And then we are going to go down the steps again, back to the first level where we started. Everybody seems to want to call me when they don't need to be calling me. Okay, we're going to go back out. It is quite cold in here now since we have the gallows door open. But we're going to go over here and we are going to enter the dungeon. Now, I am a little bit, to be honest with you, nervous about going down dungeon by myself, but I ain't a chicken, so I will do it. So let's see. Ooh, there's no lights on at all down there, so they turned off the power down there now. So wish me good luck, guys. I'm a little bit scared. So let me not break my neck going down. Keep on going out and on. I'm going to try to keep you up. This was the tool room. As you see over there, there's pictures of the tools. They did that so if a tool was missing, they knew exactly where it was, where it belonged, so they would know that a tool was missing. We're going to pan around here. And again, I must say I am a little nervous because I am here by myself. What is that? There's nothing there, so what is that? Oh, okay, I see what that is now. I'm losing a lot of people just walk in and out. I'm losing a lot of people just walk in and out.
You're just gonna have to skip out. You're just gonna have to skip the dungeon part then.
Well, let me try to get real quick here since I am live again. Let's see if we can get in here. Oh, I don't even know. This isn't even. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get.
Do you have that flashlight? Come right here so we can at least give them a view of the.
I think it's still buffering though. I don't think they're going to be able to see this.
If you can still see this, this is what the dungeon looks like. We're going to have to try to come down here with an actual camera and see if we can do a live because, of course, with signal and everything else, we're just getting constant buffering. But there is 8 cells on each section here, so a total of 16 cells down here in this dungeon. So I'm hoping some of you guys are seeing this when it's not completely. Apologize, but we kind of expect. But we'll pan around.
Oh my God, dark.
Yeah, it's really dark in here, and with us not having any light, so we're just gonna get, since everybody's saying that it's buffering. I do apologize. I wanted this to be a better walkthrough, but we can't control what Mother Nature and what internet mishaps bring. I'm hoping that you got to see a better. I wanted this to be a super great video and a great walkthrough, but it's like the internet does not want to cooperate with us today. So you didn't get the gist or the full glory of that dungeon down there, and I do apologize, but I'm going to walk back in here. We're walking back in the warden's office again. There's Dylan. And we're going to finish, considering that the internet doesn't want to cooperate. But if you have any questions or comments, please make them on this video when it shows. I will try to get another one in some time. If not, what I'll do is I will make a walkthrough documentary of what I do have, and then I will upload that. So Guys, I appreciate all of you guys, your patience. I hope you enjoyed what I did show you and what I was able to get without the internet acting up. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. Please like and subscribe. And I hope you got to enjoy some of this video at least. Okay, bye everyone. Internet